my name is Delinda Voss, and the topic today is humanism. You may ask, what is humanism? Well, according to the American Humanist Association, humanism is a progressive philosophy of life that, without theism and other supernatural beliefs, affirms our ability and responsibility to lead ethical lives of personal fulfillment that inspire to the greater good of humanity. The dictionary defines it as a system of values and beliefs that is based on the idea that people are basically good and that problems can be solved using reason instead of religion. There are many varieties or types of humanism separated by their meaning, theory, or the adjective that describes them. They include but are not limited to Renaissance, Western culture, Christian, secular, religious, and philosophical humanism, just to name a few. Even though much confusion lies in the differences between the worldviews of these different types of humanism, they all share basic principles. Humanism is a philosophy of free thinking, imagination, compassion, realism, and the use and reason and science in the pursuit of knowledge. My focus will not be on one particular theory, but on how the basic notions of these theories and what they share relate to education. Humanistic theory is basically one of the development of the individual, and it became very popular in the 60s and 70s. Humanistic theory suggests that the achievement of happiness is frequently dependent upon investigating and pursuing your own deepest interests and desires. It's a celebration of human goodness and the boundaries of human potential. As such, it serves as a foundation for an approach to instruction that builds on the natural strength of learners. Abraham Maslow was one of the first contributors of humanism and its effects with education. He was raised in New York by Russian immigrant parents, studied law, and became interested in psychology. Once he obtained his doctorate, he began to work in academia. While most psychologists in his day were researching and studying mentally ill patients, Maslow was more fascinated with healthy, successful people. He found that he focused his study on healthy, productive, creative people and found that most of them shared similar characteristics of self-acceptance, openness, and respect for others. From these studies, he developed the pyramid of needs, and his theories became the basis for the humanistic movement. Maslow believed that fulfilling needs must occur in the correct order, starting with physiological needs, such as food and water and sleep. And that from there, a person can experience safety, love and belonging, esteem, self-esteem, and finally self-actualization. He believed that the needs that were in the lower order were stronger motivators, and they had to be met first before the needs in the higher levels. Self-actualization, in his definition, is the full use and expression of talents, capabilities, and potential. Carl Rogers, on the other hand, was an educator turned psychologist. And while he agreed with Maslow in his hierarchy, he felt that in order for a person to develop fully, they needed to be in an environment that would nourish such. Without this, personalities and relationships would not grow. Rogers believed that as far as education was concerned, the educator must focus on the whole child. A major goal of his therapy was to help individuals foster a greater level of self-direction, meaning that one chooses and then they learn from the consequences. I have a comparison here of traditional versus humanistic approaches to education. And with a traditional approach, Positive and negative reinforcements are used. Positive in the sense of praise and grades, and negative in the sense of punishment and criticisms. It's authority-directed learning, and assignments and tests are given for which students are graded, and that's how they determine their level of success. With the humanistic approach, it's more intrinsic. The reinforcement is more intrinsic, where the student feels the satisfaction and joy of succeeding. It's self-directed learning, and the student self-evaluates their level of success. Most educators who advocate humanistic approach typically intend for the approach to mean the use of a wide variety of skills which are needed to function in today's world. These skills include reading, writing, and computation, as well as the skills of communicating, thinking, decision-making, and problem-solving. Humanistic education is a humane approach to education, one that helps students believe in themselves and their potential. It encourages compassion and understanding, and it fosters self-respect and the respect of others. Humanistic education deals with basic human concerns to pursue knowledge, to grow, to love, and to find meaning in one's existence. In the humanistic classroom, you'll find a self-centered focus. It's an open classroom, and the methods of learning are participatory and discovery. Considerable evidence shows that cooperative learning structures higher self-concepts, and the students' motivation and interest in learning are all related to greater academic achievement. The student in the humanistic approach takes responsibility for their education. They also self-evaluate and monitor their progress. Children can become addicted to praise, and they put forth effort to receive praise from their teachers. And a lot of times when those students don't get praise, then their work is affected by the fact that it's gone unnoticed. Also, in this approach, the students have control over what they want to learn. Personal freedom, choice, motivations, and feelings have their place. The basic concern is for human growth. Feeling positive about oneself facilitates the learning. Studies show that humanistic education can lead to fewer discipline problems because self-actualizers are able to submit to social regulation without losing their own integrity or personal independence. In this approach, the teacher takes on the role of a facilitator as opposed to the deliverer of the knowledge. The humanistic teacher is not only concerned with the student's academic needs, but also with their emotional needs. Hence the reference to the whole child. They must have a sensitivity towards students, have good classroom management skills, and the ability to conduct a classroom discussion. They must possess good skills for communicating, problem solving, and decision making in order to nurture those skills in the children that they're teaching. There are, of course, criticisms to the approach of humanism, one of which is that it rejects the notion of supreme being and afterlife. As Heimstra and Brockett offer with their commentary, this assumption may dissuade some individuals from fully embracing humanism, but they believe that teachers, trainers, and administrators don't have to abandon their traditional theologies in order to celebrate the goodness of humanity and engage and facilitate self-direction. Another criticism is that it may promote self-centeredness or selfishness. Even though the strong focus is on the individual, It's believed that well-developed, successful individuals make positive contributions to society. One must consider the fact that in order to define what makes a healthy individual, the originators of this approach spent time studying healthy, successful individuals who made great contributions to society. So in conclusion, I have 3 questions that I would like for you to ask yourself. First off, are you a humanist? Could you incorporate some of these ideas in your classroom? And if so, how would that affect the rigor that we're required to use in our curriculum? And lastly, can students reach self-actualization when their lower level needs have not been met yet? Thank you, and I look forward to your commentary.